Council Assembly work session order. Hello, Mr. Peterson. Let's go around the table there for ourselves to record. Pete, we'll start with you.
Pete Peterson.
Dick Training Assembly. Okay, we're here to talk about the U-MED District updated plan. So I'll turn the time over to you, ma'am.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Identify yourself for the record so we got the voice of the name.
Yes, I am Christine Bonnell. I'm a senior planner with the Office of Economic and Community Development. And here with me is our boss, Hal Hart, and I think you know Dr. Vance, Tim Cotter, Lonnie Mansell, Paul Stang, and I'm sorry. John, right, okay, thank you. And then Carol Wong will join us in a couple minutes.
Well, lead it off, ma'am.
Excuse me?
Go ahead and lead it off.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a short presentation about the U-MED district plan. It has been accepted into PACE. It is actually on your docket. You're going to read it in at your December 22nd meeting, and then we're going to have a public hearing in January, on January 26th on the plan. So the U-MED district plan includes 3 documents. It includes a cogeneration report, which is this document here. It includes a supporting documents report, which is basically a large appendix, and then it actually includes the public hearing draft of the plan. This is the U-MED district planning area, so we're bounded by Lake Otis Parkway, Tudor Road, Baxter Road, and Northern Lights Boulevard. And why this area for the U-MED district plan? It's the university area, community council planning area, and that's what was chosen for the planning area before this project ever started.
Let the record reflect you've been joined by Mr. Glenn. Hello, sir.
Thank you, sir. Here.
Just continue, ma'am.
Okay, so the reason why we have the U-MED district plan is the 13 U-MED organizations, which includes Providence, ANTHC, SCF, UAA, APU, McLaughlin, API, and Alaska Public Television, all went on, wrote a letter to the state, and they asked for a $500,000 grant to update the U-MED district plan. This isn't the first plan for the U-MED district. We have actually been planning in this area since 1983, and the Goose Lake plan was the first plan for this area. So with that funding, we hired a consultant team, and we had some local facilitators here during the planning process. What we looked at was the organizational master plans and the infrastructure needs. That was what the letter was about. And then the grant required 4 elements: a robust public outreach process, the new plan, transportation parking feasibility study, and then the cogen feasibility study. So our public outreach included several workshops and open houses, public meetings. We developed a U-MED steering team, which was all 13 of the organizations. And I want to acknowledge Garen that just walked in. Garen was part of that U-MED steering
Garen, come
team.
join us at the table, would you, ma'am? Thank you.
So we had both Garen and Andy join us as legislators. We had MOA departments. We had our own ACDA. The Downtown Partnership participated a little bit. ECI hired, and then also Dow helped out a little bit. Tim Potter. So we visited the community councils regularly during this planning process. We reached out to the students at UAA and APU. We had our own Facebook page, which is still up. We have a WordPress blog, which is still up. And all in all, over the actual 2.5-year planning process, I've attended about 50 meetings. So contributing elements to the plan, what we did is in our RFP, we said that we wanted to do a market study to look at what was financially feasible could propose in the long run. What we found was medical office was the highest and best use. We found that mixed use would work, and that was economically feasible, and that could include housing, commercial, retail, and we also found that a U-MED village within the U-MED district would work. Our existing land use plan map that we have adopted for the U-MED area was contributing. Also the organizational master plans, which we'll talk a little bit more about. We had the watershed plan that was adopted, and then the Chester Creek watershed plan, and then our own wetlands management plan were adopted, and those contributed. And then our Anchorage housing analysis, and then of course our muni trail and pedestrian plans. So with parking and transportation, the number one question that we wanted to answer, is there enough parking in the U-MED? For UAA, for APU, for Providence, for ANTHC, well, guess what? There's more than enough parking. And so at one point we talked about having like this parking authority that would manage the parking and that kind of thing. And at this point, nobody wanted to commit to that. And so what we've done instead is begin the discussion to work on parking agreements to figure out the actual parking demand that we would need to meet in new buildings. And that has led to actually an agreement with UAA as far as their parking goes. And that's the first agreement that we have. We also needed to look at cogen. Way back in early 2000, what they proposed in the U-MED was a gigantic new power generating plant. And that meant utilidors that would go between Providence and UAA and I believe ANTHC. It was a multi-million dollar project. We never got any money for it. The state didn't come up and pay for anything for it. And so, is cogen feasible? Yes, it is, but on a much smaller scale. Cogen, the technology has changed so much, and so the report talks about that and makes recommendations.
Mr. Flynn has a question for you, ma'am.
Sure.
Mr. Flynn, sir?
Yeah, and I don't know if this ties in directly, but I know that Providence looks at building their own power generation facility to specifically meet their needs. And as with any entity, they have cyclical demand, and they had a very difficult time working with I was going to say the incumbent providers.
Yes.
And I personally have some experience in that area. How does this fit in with that, and how do the new net metering regulations affect the state net metering regulations affect the potential for, I guess I would call it dispersal of our generation capacity within the Anchorage area?
Well, what the report does is
I just got it today, so.
Yeah, it's okay. So what the report does is outline what they looked at in 2000. It outlines the existing conditions today, the ML&P tariff, what the organizations have in place right now, what kind of need that they need to fill. And then it walks us through all of that, and then it talks about what could work. So, and actually the NRC is already, or the ARC is already seeing this and is using it. So it is
The RCA?
the RCA, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Yeah.
another one, huh?
Yeah, another acronym. Oh no, watch out.
I know a lot of them. Yard or Anchorage is not involved in this.
Yeah. So anyway, there is a great feasibility. This is a great study, and it will answer a lot of questions that you might have. And what we recommended is we actually have a pilot project, a cogen pilot project in the U-MED to let people know how that can work out.
I'll study my house.
Okay, so basically the foundation for the plan, besides the public comment, besides the organizational master plans, are the 8 vision elements. And Those start out with supporting organizational missions. Why? Because it's the second largest employer in the state. There's over 13,000 jobs in the U-MED district and growing. And we needed a comprehensive land use strategy to help support the organizations as they grow. Quality of life, that's our live, work, play vision element. The U-MED village was identified again in the core of the U-MED. We want to brand and market the U-MED district. We want people to be able to live and work in the district. And so we make recommendations for those kinds of things that happen under quality of life. Quality of the built environment is the third one. We've got adopted design guidelines in the U-MED district that seem to be working. We wanted to carry those design guidelines forward. Again, the cogeneration capability and the ability to reduce the cost of heating and power was important in that one. Transportation and mobility, like I said, we looked at the parking. We looked at, we're making recommendations about transportation demand management and what we could do to increase transit, carpooling, vanpooling, that kind of thing, trail connectivity and pedestrian access, not only within the core district area, but from the neighborhoods into the core. And then we included the northern access road as part of that vision element. Community and partnerships talks about the U-MED steering team. They would like to keep going and want to meet on a quarterly basis to help implement the U-MED district plan. That also included the food security research that's happening by UAA and APU. We wanted to point that out. And then the idea of public-private partnerships for new development in the long run. Natural resources, we looked at all of the natural area within the U-MED, what's still existing, what hasn't been built on yet. The Chester Creek Watershed Plan definitely helped out with that. We looked at the issues that were happening at Goose Lake and University Lake parks and the need for management plans for both of those parks. Economic sustainability, how in the long run are we going to sustain the district? What are the things that we need to have in the district? Again, medical office is highest and best use, but mixed use will work. And so where are those areas within the district that we can have infill for housing, high density, commercial and retail, and there's a couple of locations that we found for that. And economic sustainability supports reinvestment. So the growth and change chapter is more about the neighborhoods and how they participate and will participate in an ongoing basis. Again, their participation in the steering team. We recommend neighborhood improvements, sidewalks and pedestrian improvements in a lot of the neighborhood areas. There's some outreach and education that we can do on Title 21. And then growth and change includes our revised land use plan map. So the map on the right at the bottom is the adopted land use plan map right now for the U-MED district. And you can see off to the right there, the yellow that says College Gate. The map at the top is our proposed map. So what we did is we really came a little bit more into the reality of what's out there and identified the neighborhoods and the actual, what's on the ground there right now. A lot of the green area, that's where UAA and APU has property, was identified kind of as green and park, and we know that that's going to be developed, so we wanted to actually indicate what that's really going to be in the future. So you can see there how the map is going to change substantially. So we have the Planning and Zoning Commission always likes us to identify at least 5 priorities. We have 7. Because of the public input that we heard resoundingly about University Lake Park, that one was the first one that we decided to make as a priority. And before we even have this plan adopted, a master plan for University Lake Park is funded, and that is actually in process. Transportation demand management study for that. We applied for a Tiger grant, and we didn't get it last year, but we're going to go ahead and apply again this year. And again, that'll look at carpooling, van pooling, additional transit, that kind of thing, and help us reduce the vehicle miles traveled into the UMED. Our trails and pedestrian system, when you see the map, the transportation projects map within the plan, you'll see that the only trails that are identified on the map are the ones that the muni owns and maintains. And that's because the trails that both UA and APU own and maintain may be moved as they develop, and so we didn't want to give this perception to the public that there's a whole bunch of trail routes within the UMED district that are going to stay in perpetuity. We just included those routes that the muni owns and maintains. And we are actually going to be updating that too. Evidently there's some funding that's come in, and so we're going to be looking at the trails and pedestrian system here in 2016.
Mr. Flynn, sir.
Yes.
If we're only including the ones that we control, how can we use speed limit?
Oh, this is an old map. This is what we're that's the, yeah, that's what we're okay, and then the muni will be kicking off a transit feasibility study, and we'll be working with our transit folks to be a part of that, and that was funded, and that should be starting here in 2016. The Cogen pilot project, as Patrick mentioned, we've been in, Providence has been in discussions with ML&P, and we may end up having a Cogen pilot project with Providence and ML&P. We're hoping that happens, and that's being worked on right now. If we don't have one with Providence, then maybe we'll be able to find one with one of the other organizations within the UMED district. Again, our outreach and communication is going to be ongoing with the UMED steering team. And then the other priority is the implementation tools. So what is it that long-range planning, current planning, the rest of us need to do to help the UMED continue to grow and prosper? So 210311 is the organizational master plan section in Title 21. And that, if an organization brings in their master plan, that helps them with their development. It kind of streamlines things a little bit. And but what we found through this process, that chapter may need to, or that section may need to be updated a little bit. So we want to go ahead and take a look at that. And again, the importance for that is the parking agreements and just the certain things that they may not have to do if their organizational master plan is adopted. During this process, a transfer of development rights idea was brought up, and we actually talked about it with the Planning and Zoning Commission. They decided not to take an action on it, but we would like to see that included in one of our implementation tools. And then, of course, there's tax credits that we could look at and pursue, and what kind of public-private partnerships could be developed, which APU's actually got one going on right now, I think with Mr. Pfeffer, right? I can't remember. Yeah.
Mr.
So,
Flynn, do you have a comment, sir?
I'm just curious. So yeah, that's already in place. Isn't that the TDR in essence?
what's that?
Transfer their own place? That what they've done?
Well, I mean, I'm not sure in terms of a TDR. It's certainly a public-private partnership to develop our land, so I'm not sure that
suggests it, and we never have done that. Again, it was brought up during the Planning and Zoning Commission public hearing, and the Planning and Zoning Commission did not make a motion on that, whether to put it in the plan, but we think it's a good idea to have, to work on that. And the U-MED district could be a great area to have a pilot project for TDR, so that would be something that we do after the plan is adopted in, a few months from now.
Can you give us a copy of the discourse from the P&Z Commission on that? I'd like, just when you get a chance, I'd like
Sure.
to take a look at it and see the pros and cons on it.
Okay. And I think
Probably in the packet.
yeah, you have in your packet, you have
No, I just want the minutes so I can actually take a look at the discourse.
okay. Sure. We have it. So one of the things, this is the first time that we've done this, we paid for a website service. It's called Open Comment. And what people can do is they can go to muni.opencomment.us and they can go in and they can scroll through the plan, and you see the little blue bubble over there, comments. They can make comments on basically every line of the plan. And we've had that up now for, I think since we opened the public hearing process. So it's been up for about 60 days at least. And so that'll be out there up until we get ready for your public hearing. And just another way for folks to be able to comment on the plan, make it a little bit easier, and that's where we're at with that. So that's a new thing that we've done.
Ms. Gray Jackson's question.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So are you getting lots of comments?
We haven't. Yeah, it's interesting.
So how are you letting people know that this website is out there?
Well, I've been going around to all the community council
Yes, I
meetings.
have.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we posted it on our blog, and we posted it on our website where the plan is, so.
You'll be at Airport Heights tonight?
Yes.
Okay, good.
So with that, that's my presentation, and you want me to turn the lights back up?
If you would, ma'am.
Okay. Oh, thanks, Barbara.
And then question from Assembly members. Mr. Glenn?
I asked one.
Mr. Peterson?
Not right now.
Ms. Gray Jackson?
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Virginia?
I think we're just all following the road decision and wondering, since it's pre-approval, if that changes that particular piece in this plan.
We're not taking the road out.
Okay.
It's still on the map, and our recommendation for what the road should be is going to remain in there. Yeah, we haven't been instructed to take it out. And we did brief the mayor on the plan, and that the fact that the road is part of it. And he didn't seem to think that it was a problem that the road remained in the plan.
Can you speak a little more specifically about the design that you recommend for that,
Well, there's actually,
There's a map somewhere.
yeah, there's actually a description, and it's,
I'm guessing it's somewhat more robust than the DOT is thus far proposed.
yes. Yeah.
When you find out what page, let us know.
I'll do that.
Maybe it's been like
Okay, so if you look on page 48, and then number 2, provide recommendations for the Northern Access Road project to ensure trail connectivity, safe wildlife circulation, appropriate speed limit, overall design requirements, and mitigation of the construction, operation, wildlife, and traffic impacts. And then we go through, it should provide access to the U-MED district, improve circulation of people and goods, relieve the arterial streets, so that's kind of the beginning of that. 2 travel lanes with striped bike lanes each side, sidewalk and 10-foot paved path with buffers between pedestrian facilities and crossing, curb gutter, storm drains, multiple roundabouts, lighted transit stops, roads and paths, speed limit clearly posted, and then providing the connections to the new and existing trails and paths.
Is there any just rough order of magnitude costing for the facility that is within the project versus the, I guess, preferred alternative that came out of it? Out of the DOT process?
We didn't cost it out.
That's relevant.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'd be happy to talk about it.
Thank you, ma'am.
welcome.
Public's here, we've got time, any comments from public? Mr. Potter, usually you're not quiet.
Usually I'm not. And if you've got time to go, I can be more than happy to fill it up. I think a couple of things on Patrick's issue. Probably the key issues that came up that I recall from planning and zoning on the road design